Welcome back, everybody. And this is Anime Talks, and this is your host, Jay Klein. And we're back with a continuation from our previous episode of Hunter x Hunter. And in this episode, we'll be covering the Heaven's Arena arc. To go a little bit back on where we were, we do have a couple things that we do have to trail off, or not necessarily trail off, but bring back into the scene just so we can be able to make a smooth transition right into it. So from our last episode, we did cover the whole thing to where we did cover the Hunter exam arc where Gon was able to get his license, but we did run into Killua not being able to get his license due to being disqualified for killing in the last portion of the tournament to be able to qualify to get his chance to get the Hunter license. And we do have all of our heroes separating right at the end where we have Killua returning home. We do have Kurapika going on his own, and Leorio is leaving for medical school. And we do have at the end Gon and Killua deciding to go to Heaven's Arena to be able to train and prepare Gon to have his rematch with Hisoka. So that is our little small recap of the last episode and the events that is leading on to how this episode will begin. So hang tight and we'll be able to start covering that now. So the Heaven's Arena arc is very small, and we will run into the fact that this is going to be a very small and short episode here, only because there's not really many things that happen, but little small tidbits. We do have Gon and Killua that go inside Heaven's Arena, and then we also find out like the smaller things, like Killua did come to this place before with his father and was dropped off to be able to train, and at the small age of like I want to say he was 4 when he was dropped off here, and was able to make it all the way up to floor in the 200 floors by himself as a child. So it kind of gives that kind of like, you know, that aspect. And I want to say also that Killua agrees to start from the beginning so him and Gon can work together and kind of have that rivalry to get up to where, you know, he needs to be. And I really like that aspect because it's like they're fighting side by side. It reminds me so many like of smaller things that is going on between like rival characters and like history of anime, you know, like the Goku and Vegeta type thing, and just many other aspects, Sasuke and Naruto. Like we just have so many different aspects of who we can compare these two to, and it is pretty awesome. But we do learn that they find and they run into a man named Master Wing, or Wing, and they call him Master, and he's able to do them. He ends up doing them a really solid favor by teaching them how to be able to control their nin, or to be able to understand, learn, and perfect nin. And Gon and Killua are also joined with Azushi, one of Mr. Wing's students. And it's so funny. On the aspect of it, they're just like, I can't remember the little noise they do. There's like, it's funny. It's like their own little thing, and you have to watch it to be able to experience it, and it's worth watching. By the way, when it comes down to the series, if you need any guidance, I wish I would have done this in the last episode to kind of give the volumes and or episodes that you would like to get to be able to check this out directly. We do have number 27 ranging to number 36 is the episodes for this arc, and that's out of the 2011 series. So make sure you get, you know, a chance to go take a look at that, and that kind of like marks it up. And I'm sorry for not being able to provide that information for the last one, but moving forward we will be able to give the episode stamps of where to start if you would like to jump straight into that arc. But returning back, you have to get all the way up to the 251 floors and of the Heaven's Arena arc, and then you end up going against crazy opponents that only use Nin. So their training is pretty intense, and it goes like it's crazy. All the stuff you see, you just see a multitude of different fights. And like I said, this episode is going to be really short, and I wish I would have grouped this up with another arc to make it, really stretch further. But I want to be able to drop these episodes for y'all in arc format to be able to dig a little deeper and leave different arcs for themselves. They have arcs that have a little bit more range to it and a little bit more in depth. But we do run into a part where Gon and Killua are being tracked down by these guys that are also trying to climb up the ranks, and they are pretty much like strong arming people into doing certain fights, and they're willing to try to get to blackmail and or like I said, strong arm you into fighting them to lose matches. There's one that kind of like spins on a top. There's one that's in a wheelchair. It's all kinds of different abilities and different things. And then Gon actually loses a fight against one of these guys and makes it to where he is almost banned from using Nin for a while until he gets stronger and understand how it goes, because he almost lost his life in the fight. And Mr. Wing was not really too excited about how that fell out. So he was more or less trying to prevent Gon from making the mistake of just blindly going in and not being able to handle such a monumental fight without thinking and processing how a fight should go. So with being under the strains of being not able to use Nin, you do have the likes of Killua, who is checking out most of the fights leading up all the way until we see the craziness that is happening on the higher floors. And once it's time for them to make it to the higher floors, they run into Hisoka again. And it is crazy on how all that like goes down. But to kind of give a little bit of backstory on why Hisoka and Gon are even having this kind of thing going on, we do have a small little section from out of the previous arc where when one of the exam portions were to get 3 different badges totaling up to 6 points, where your badge counts as 3 and each of the other person's badges are counting as 1 point. Gon did manage to take Hisoka's badge and get all the badges needed to be able to proceed to the next round. It is crazy on how all that went, like pretty crazy. And as a matter of fact, let's go back and make a small little fix on that. It is, you are given a targeted person's badge as a 3 points, and any other badge after that is 1 point. Had to make that correction there. I apologize. We do have a very interesting situation because Hisoka ended up saving Gon from getting taken down from another person that was able to sneak and take Gon off of his, like, pretty much get him off guard and has him knocked out. And Hisoka allowed Gon to keep the badge and says, "You owe me. We will meet again, and this will come up again where you'll be able to repay me for what happens." And Gon actually takes that to heart, and that is what he's dwelling on leading up until this arc that we're currently in with the Heaven's Arena arc. He wants to settle the score because it feels like he was given the opportunity to make it that far in the Hunter exam, and that is just a whole new level of like craziness. And also another thing, a small thing that isn't said or broken down or for most of the explanations, at the end of the hunter exam, there is a smaller portion that's always that kind of you have to really catch it towards the end where they make it clear that getting your hunter's license is not the end. And this is where we find out that learning Nin is actually the finishing touches of being able to gather the prerequisites to be a true hunter, and that is to be able to be able to learn and use Nin. And I don't want to leave y'all out of the loop, but I want to be able to give y'all a little bit of context behind the Nin. And one thing that we'll go ahead and like cover behind it is it's a technique that allows a living being to use and manipulate their own life energy known as aura. And the term is used as Nin, can also be used in conversation to refer as aura. So we're going to go through the properties of Nin as well, because I don't want to let y'all, be too far out on how it goes. But then the Nin of Flame, we do have the things that you have to build up before you even get to learning Nin. So we do have 10, which is the focus of the mind, reflect upon self, and determine the goal. We have Zetsu, which is to put it into words. We have Ren, which is intensify your will, and then Hatsu, which is to put it into action. Once you're able to put that all together, you're able to learn the Nin of the flame. And once you're able to get all that portion taken care of, you'll be able to learn how Nin plays out. And that is what these young boys had to learn to be able to move further inside the aspect of growing as a hunter, because without having Nin, they are pretty much going into a fight with it's like almost going into a gunfight without your weapon. It is pretty much not possible. So returning back, these situations that play out within the Heavens Arena arc really are pretty much the stepping stones to let Gon and Killua know that this is way more. It's way more than what it can be. And during the final fight, where we do have Gon and Hisoka fighting, we also learn along the way that there are different types of aura, where we have enhancement, transmutation, conjuration, emission, manipulation, and specialization. And each different user can only train in 3 of them, and you use a water divination to be able to determine which type of user you are. And once you've found out the user that you are, pretty much I'll just go ahead and say this as kind of like a guideline. So let's just say we have enhancement up to the top, up to north, and then we have transmutation and conjuration, each to its left and its right. And then we'll have emission, manipulation, and specialist at the bottom from the south and left and right of southwest and southeast. And an enhancer can probably reach out and learn just a bit of transmutation and conjuration, but is not able to learn emission, manipulation. And of course, a specialist is able, which is a rare thing to have, can learn all 6, which is pretty interesting and something that we'll cover in the next arc. I'm pretty excited about that, being able to give such such an amazing spill on that, on where we sit with our users and who our main characters, or who are how our adventurers and our protagonists, where do they sit within the spectrum of which type of user they are. And we do find out within this arc, but the next arc has more in-depth things when it comes down to gathering Nin and using Nin and then finding out what you are. So we will definitely cover that in the next episode. I don't want to leave out the awesomeness within the spectrum of which user our friends are here. And when it moves forward and we find out how everything plays out within the Hisoka and Gon fight, it's pretty sad. You know, we of course Gon takes the heat, you know, and definitely he loses, unfortunately, but it's not all that bad. It's not all that bad at all. And it's interesting on how it plays out, because we're not it's just not that. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. It's pretty cool. It makes you really understand how strong Hisoka is, because Hisoka wins his fight against Gon, and then Hisoka ends up going against a final character, which he ends up going against another guy who against Castro, and there it's a bunch of different stuff, and Hisoka is able to manipulate and win that fight easily while showing a couple tricks and all kinds of things. And this is one of the fights that he was banned from watching by Master Wing, because he wanted Gon to be able to recover up and be able to move forward towards getting everything taken care of. And it's pretty interesting on how this fight goes. Castro looks like he has the upper hand, but Hisoka easily takes care of that. No doubt. And it was awesome. It was awesome. I get goosebumps every time I think about what happens during all that. But to close that off, we are met with the ending of that arc by them having to all do their meetup in I can't remember the name of where they're supposed to go now. They're supposed to meet up at York New City for their promised meetup that they agreed to do at the end of the previous arc, where they said that they need to meet up here on a certain day to be able to have their rendezvous to join up, and this is where they handle all of their stuff. But, and to go ahead and leave a little bit of suspense with y'all, there's a lot more that's to come when it comes down to taking care of just going to York New City. York New City has a bunch of different strange things, a bunch of different elements, and we learn a lot more within the aspect of Hunter, and Gon and Killua's adventure. There's so many different things that change up. And of course, I don't want to dig too far into it, because I want to allow that to sit and marinate for the next episode. But please tune in, and you'll find out a lot more that's going to happen when we get to dive into the York New City arc, where we see the development of all of our characters and what they're trying to get to, and where we will finally kind of wrap up a couple pieces, but we're really getting to like a whole different aspect, whole different dynamic. Everything changes, but just be ready, because the the exchange between our heroes and technically our anti-hero, Hisoka, moves a lot further than what we've seen and how things are displayed, because there's some things about Hisoka that really develop and change throughout the next couple of arcs, and I can't wait to cover that with y'all. So until next time, we will be able to hear and experience and learn a lot more of what our heroes have to go through. And thank y'all for tuning in to another episode of Anime Talks. I'm your host, Jay Klein, and until the next one.